The global standard for quality management, ISO 9001, is undergoing its first major foundational structural update in a decade. For quality managers and executives, these revisions often raise the same question: how much additional administrative paperwork will be required to stay compliant? It highlights the persistent gap between running an effective, competitive business and simply maintaining a checklist to satisfy an auditor. The 2026 update is being shaped by a philosophical debate between two of the world's most influential standardization bodies. On one side is the British Standards Institution, or BSI. On the other, the French association, AFNOR. How an organization integrates these two schools determines whether the 2026 transition results in a more efficient operation or just a heavier administrative burden. BSI was the original architect of quality standards, creating frameworks like BS 5750 that formed the initial blueprint for ISO 9001. This approach grew out of industrial testing environments, where physical safety and material precision were the primary concerns. The BSI philosophy centers on process standardization. The logic is that if you document every step perfectly and follow them exactly, you guarantee a reliable result. This requires a rigid system where every action is logged and verified. The advantage is near-perfect consistency. By removing the human variable, the output remains the same every single time. However, maintaining this level of granular control creates a heavy administrative burden. When teams spend more time managing documents than improving the product, the system can reach a state of bureaucratic paralysis. This approach provides a necessary safety net for high-risk operations, but for dynamic companies, it can act as an operational straitjacket. AFNOR offers a different path, acting as a counterweight to strict proceduralism. Based in France, the AFNOR group focuses on shifting quality standards towards sustainable development and strategic results. Their philosophy prioritizes outcomes and performance-based value. It operates on the logic that measurable business impact is more important than the volume of paperwork. Businesses replace heavy procedural manuals with dynamic dashboards tracking key performance indicators. Quality management directly informs executive strategy rather than sitting in an isolated compliance department. However, flexible rules require highly competent teams to connect quality goals to the business context. Without guidelines to anchor the system, this flexibility can lead to subjective interpretations. You might have ambitious goals, but no consistent way to reach them. AFNOR aims to make quality standards more strategic, but it requires strong internal leadership to manage the lack of rigid rules. The ISO 9001-2026 update is moving toward this digital-first AFNOR philosophy, shifting the global standard away from pure proceduralism. This matrix compares the two schools to pinpoint what's changing. BSI prioritizes process control. AFNOR focuses on strategic impact. BSI requires rigid evidence. AFNOR promotes lean agility. Finally, audits shift from checking compliance to evaluating overall ROI. This presents a distinct risk for the transition. Companies that have historically relied on a stack of paperwork to pass audits will likely struggle under the 2026 guidelines. Success in 2026 involves using BSI's structural reliability to support AFNOR's focus on proving business effectiveness. Choosing how to balance these influences depends on an organization's primary operational risk. Consider high-risk sectors like aviation, heavy industry, or pharmaceuticals. Here, the BSI methodology remains essential. Procedural agility cannot come at the expense of physical safety or material precision. Conversely, for tech startups or digital service providers, the priorities are different. These sectors can use the 2026 update to move away from rigid manuals and refocus the quality team on customer metrics and sustainability goals. Executive teams don't need to wait for the 2026 deadline to start replacing static manuals with active performance data. When the chosen methodology matches the organization's risk profile, ISO 9001 functions as a customized engine for growth.